kids cardiac. Catch me in the Muni where the party at. Dog pound, turn up with the elf up on my starter cap. Brought him back, boy, we from the land and we proud of that. Louder man, front to the back, here we go, I got him shouting that. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Stand up. Here we go, Brownies. Let's go. Game on the line, Joe Thomas, I promise. Jim Brown running through opponents, how I got this. I return like Josh Cribbs. Hand for the mini, got the dog pound jumping. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Stand up. Here we go, Brownies. Let's go.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Mr. Hero's turning 60. We're proud to have served your favorite cravings for 60 years in celebrating what we do best. Thanks, Ohio.
I crave a hero.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm Ali Ellery, coming to you live from Pensacola, Florida, and joined with me, as always, we've got Dustin out in Cleveland, Ohio. Guys, if you haven't already, please download the Mr. Hero app. You can get buy one, get one offers just for signing up. We've got a great reward system. You can order food from the app, get some rewards points and everything like that. So please be sure to check out our friends over at Mr. Hero. Dustin, how's it going?
Good, Ali. Back into the swing of things with work. Busy, moving around, doing things, and I'm glad that it's almost 50 degrees here, but I know there's probably 3 more snowstorms, so there's that. Maybe going to the Senior Bowl at the end of the month. You know, that gets warm. I could be out of here for 3 or 4 days out of the cold weather of Cleveland. You know this. You grew up here. It's a very gray time. It's very gray. There's a few days of sun and a lot of gray. So it's good for the mental to get out of this stuff for a few days too, I think.
I agree with that. That's why we left and we moved south.
By the way, happy belated birthday, Ali.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for joining us on a Thursday. Yesterday was my birthday, so we took the day off. David and I had a great time. He took me to New Orleans. We sat courtside at a Pelicans-Lakers game, up close and personal to LeBron. That was a lot of fun.
Look at that! Now that's doing a birthday right. Look at see. She didn't tell. By the way, she didn't tell me what they did, and now I just learned. And I said David does it right usually, and well, there you go. He did it right.
We had a lot of fun. It was a great experience. Had some great food. Gambled a little bit, lost some money, and just happy to be back and talking about the Browns. We've got a lot to talk about. Right, guys, we since we last spoke, the Browns have moved on from head coach Kevin Stefanski. One thing you're not going to hear us do on this podcast is, dog Kevin Stefanski. He brought a lot of positivity to Cleveland. In my lifetime, the Browns have been just tremendously bad my entire life. And the few bright spots that we've had with this team were part of Kevin's tenure. So a lot of respect for him. I think a lot of fans can probably, you can probably relate to this, where maybe you had a job that just it wasn't a good fit for whatever reason. It wasn't you, it wasn't them. It just wasn't a good fit. And it was best for both to kind of separate. And I think that's where we're at. You can live in a world where both things are true, that you have respect for Kevin Stefanski and think that he's going to find success at somewhere, some point in the National Football League. But also it's true that it was time to move on, right? It was good for this organization to move on and see what else is out there. And just wish him the best. We've got some things to talk about. We're going to look ahead to some potential coaching candidates. We're not going to get too far into the woods with that until we know exactly who the Browns have interviewed and who's on their radar. We're just going to go pretty high level tonight as this is fairly fresh. We're going to go around the National Football League and have some fun tonight. But Dustin, your immediate reaction to moving on from Kevin Stefanski.
Well, it was kind of weird because I got a text. I don't know if you saw this, but I got a text at like 10:30 in the morning that Channel 8 News wanted my opinion on the firing of Kevin Stefanski. And I was like, okay, well, here we go. And honestly, I was pretty, it is kind of melancholy, right? Like he was here for 6 years, one of the longest tenured coaches with the Browns, which is crazy to say, but he brought us two playoff seasons and a playoff victory. And like I said in that interview, I think everything runs its course at some point, right? Everybody has a shelf life. And I think for Kevin Stefanski, the last couple of years, 8 wins in 2 years is just unacceptable. And I think he's still a good coach. And I said that in that interview. And I said, look, he'll probably be a really good coach somewhere else. But here, that's just, it's just worn its kind of welcome out. And I wish him the best. And I think he'll be successful. And that's why you see him already with a multiple of interviews in the National Football League. So it just wasn't, it was just time, right? Like I said, honestly, I'm probably more shocked with the Harbaugh fire.
It's a big one.
I mean, that was crazy to me. That broke, a day later. And we'll get into this and I'll talk about this, but then multiple teams are asking about his services that still have a coach. That's weird. And then now you have 8 teams in the National Football League that don't have head coaches and 2 that don't have GMs. That's a fourth of the league. Yep. There are 32 teams in the National Football League, and 8 of them are looking for a head coach. So what started out as 4 or 5 is now 8. So it's going to be interesting as we break this down tonight. But, I wish him the best. I think he's still going to be a good coach, but just not here.
And another thing that's important to remember is let's look back at the coaches before Kevin. Freddie Kitchens, what a disaster that was. Hugh Jackson, what an absolute disaster that was. One thing that I can respect and appreciate from Kevin was that he kept it professional 100% of the time, has done so even with his departure. And, it's for the best, but it's also still melancholy. Like, wow, he did bring us some good times and got us out of the nasty hole that we were in. And while he had several failures and things weren't up to standard, especially on the offense for him being such an offensive-minded guy. Yeah. It's the right thing to move on. But at the same time, you look back and you're like, wow, there are some fond memories and some good that came out of his tenure. And I think that at that time when the Browns made that hire, it was the right hire. He was a 2-time coach of the year. He developed, I won't say winning culture because obviously there wasn't a ton of that, but a culture from just the absolute disarray that the organization was in prior. So he was a good stepping stone, and we can only hope that maybe he did lay some kind of foundation for this next person to come in and have even more success. So wishing him the best. I was just going to add to that is he was a class act from the beginning to the end. That was the very thing that I think I'll always appreciate. You kind of knew where you were at with Kevin. He was steady. He was stoic at times, but he never was all over the place. And I think to your point that you brought up, there are some coaches in the past that we could be like, man, this is not good. Like you mean to tell me he was a head coach in the National Football League, Freddie Kitchens? What? Well,
the fact that they kept Hugh Jackson around for 2 years just is wild to me in 2 years, 1 win, that's wild to me like that. Look at the Raiders, right? They had a bad season and they moved on after 1 season. I'm like, man, after you won 1 game, I don't know how you talked yourself into another year, and then you got worse and you didn't win any games. That's crazy to me, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts. We want to tell you real quick about our newest sponsor, our friends over at Original Steak and Hoagie. Dustin, anything to say about our newest sponsor?
Yeah, Thursday, $7.99 cheesesteak. Those are amazing deals. It's Thursday today. Those are going on every Thursday, but multiple locations in the Cleveland area, Parma, Mayfield Heights. Their cheesesteaks are amazing. They're great. I can't give them enough love. Also, they now have their new smash burgers on their menu, but great food. Check them out. Multiple locations here in greater Northeast Ohio.
There you go. Also, real quick, we'd like to tell you about our good friends over at Stadium Mustard, guys. If you don't have it in your kitchen this season, you are doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste, full of from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is smooth brown mustard, rich in both taste and tradition, loved by millions. So be sure to head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop now. Okay, let's get into this. I want to bring David on here in just a moment. A couple of things to talk about from the medical perspective. Then we're going to open things up. I want to go through a list of these guys. Like I said at the start, Dustin, I don't want to get too far into the woods and really just talk about what it could look like with so-and-so coaching this team until we maybe have a firmer grasp on who they're interested in. Right now, there is no indication. I'm sure that there's several interview requests out. Of course, you've got guys like Harbaugh that are probably, in the mix. Of course, we know Jim Schwartz, Tommy Rees are in the conversation. But until we have maybe a broader view of what that looks like, we'll probably talk about that more on next week's show. But we're going to go kind of high level through some of these names. And I'd also like to give some postseason superlatives. I want to go around the league and, of course, for your Cleveland Browns. That's important. But first, we're going to bring David on. This is brought to you by our good friends over at Lorella Vineyards.
Here we go, Brownies Nations. We are here with Larry Lorello at Huntington Field to talk about Here We Go Brownies wine and all the other amazing wines at Lorella Vineyards.
Yeah, I just want to tell all of you guys, it's harvest season right now. We just started with some of the whites, and reds will be coming in next. Stop out the winery, all the wineries out in Northeast Ohio, to check out all the harvest and what we're doing out there. It's a really good time right now.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Here we go.
Woof, 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 woof.
All right, let's bring him on, the husband of the program, Dr. David Ellery. Hi, David.
Hello, Allie. Hi, Dustin.
And the best birthday surprise guy. We'll put that in his titles as well.
I do what I can.
Good job. You are very blurred out in your background.
Yeah, I might
Look at you.
adjust that. That looks pretty bad.
David, I want to get your just candid reaction here. There was some surprises with these coaching fires. Harbaugh being probably, dare I say, the most surprising. I think there were some rumors that it could have happened. It obviously did. But I want to start with Kevin, your initial reaction to that, and then we'll go through a list of guys here.
Yeah, I think when it was first announced, based on a conversation you and I had the night before during Sunday Night Football, I think I was a little surprised. Giving a couple hours to kind of think about it, chew on it, I think it makes the most sense. I think it's kind of what we concluded was going to happen just in kind of our conversations about it. But initially, I think we talked ourselves into a scenario where we could see them holding on to him, given some of the success Tudor had and knowing that they actually gave him a longer chance than other teams give other coaches, and that there's 3 games where one play is different, and we're looking at an 8-win season instead of 5-win season and potentially the playoffs. And so we certainly kind of concocted this scenario where, maybe he was going to stick around. So I felt surprised at first, but overall, I think that he definitely got the Browns got their money's worth out of him in terms of giving him a full 6 seasons to try and make this happen. And I think it's probably the right decision at this point.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just like the Browns took a huge swing on Deshaun Watson to come in, and at the time they thought he was going to be the guy, and then quickly realizing that's not true and really weighed their options at quarterback and are still doing so. And the anticipation of there's got to be better out there. That's why they moved off of Baker Mayfield with hope that there could be better out there. I think that's kind of the same thing. While Baker went on to have success, likely that Kevin will too, but there's also a world where you can still get and do better in Cleveland. So it's going to be, I don't want to say fun. It's not fun having to talk about this, right? You hope that the team that you root for just has long sustained success at head coach and quarterback, and we never have to do this. And, the draft is just best player available, but that's not the case. We root for the Cleveland Browns, and our reality is we are going to be talking a lot about quarterbacks and head coaches. I mean, Dustin, I remember how you joined this podcast is because you had sources. You had sources that Josh McDaniels was going to be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
And that was a pretty damn good source, and it did not end up being correct. So
that's how long we've been doing this show together. Dustin was the last head coaching search, and here we are again. Kind of. That's
true. That is true. It was the whole thing about him going into the facility. Yeah, I remember that. That does not seem like that long ago, though. That's what's crazy.
6 years ago. All right, we're going to talk a lot about coaches and teams in the NFL. David, I know we have one injury to talk about. That's Luke Whippler. I know we don't know a ton, but he was carted off. Just real quick, what do you have on that?
Yeah, so that was the major thing that came out of the game on Sunday is he got carted off. It was kind of interesting because he got off the field on his own initially. They went to the injury tent and examined him, and then they brought the cart to send him back to the locker room. You look it up and they say, traumatic knee injury, which obviously, you're playing football, it's a traumatic injury. Not a lot of detail in terms of what it is or if he's going to require surgery or not. Obviously, this is a big deal, though, just because this is the depth piece and a guy who maybe would be competing for the starting center job this offseason and preseason. Hopefully it's nothing severe, nothing serious, no sort of ligamentous tear that requires a major reconstruction where he's going to miss the entire 2026 season. But as of now, we don't have full details on it. So just kind of have to hope and wait that it's something more severe. But just, adds to the decimation of the offensive line saw this season. Denzel Ward did leave the game as well with a neck injury. And those are really the two big ones from Sunday. We don't have to get into it today necessarily, but I just want to run you a list of players on the Browns currently on the IR as the season has concluded for them. On the offensive side of the ball, we have obviously Deshaun. He was activated, but still coming off of the PUP list. But we got DeAndre Carter, DeJuan Jones, Justin Osborne, Wyatt Teller, and Jack Conklin. With Luke Whippler probably would be going on the IR as well. And we know Harold Fangio and David Njoku were both injured at the end of the year. Defensive side of the ball, Malik Collins, Carson Schlesinger, Winston Reed, Dom Jones, Nathaniel Watson, Anthony Kendall, and Martin Emerson Jr. So, that is we're looking at double digits in terms of IR activity. A lot of teams go through it, but just seems like another injury-riddled year for the most important position group, arguably, in the offensive line. So
and Quinchon's on that list too. Judkins too.
And Quinchon, yes.
Yep. Real quick from our friend James, did Denzel get any concussions this year? Off the top of my head,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. David, I'll let you take that one, but I don't think that he did.
I don't believe so either. No, last was October 2024. I don't believe this year he had any concussions. So that's maybe a breakthrough. That's a nice kind of step in the right direction. Certainly he was, on and off with soft tissue thing and the neck injury here at the end. But as far as I'm aware and as I can remember, I do not believe he had a new concussion this year, which is good because we know that has been kind of his calling card when it comes to injuries. Calf strain, neck injury. That is really the most of it for him. So pretty healthy season for him, fortunately.
Yeah. And real quick, before we start getting into coaching stuff, Dustin, this might be a question for you. Big question here, but asking, are they going to honor the dog pound in the new stadium? Do you have any answer for that?
Yeah. So yes, they are. It's going to be like in soccer, it's going to be a sound wall. That's going to be the new dog pound. So I'm assuming they'll have bench type of seats. The jury is still out. Ownership has not mentioned, because I'm a season ticket holder, if they're going to require PSLs. Initially, when they did come back in '99, they did do PSLs, and then later on did away with those. So people did pay PSLs, and then they didn't. If I had to guess, the Bills have PSLs. A lot of these franchises that are building new places have PSLs. So I would assume, yes, the Browns will have some kind of PSL, even if you're a current season ticket holder or new season ticket holder in the Dome.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go through the current teams with a head coaching vacancy. And I want to play the game of, is this a better job than the Cleveland Browns? Because I've heard several people say, wow, the Browns job is fairly undesirable. And I actually wholeheartedly disagree with that. You have an owner that is willing and able to spend a lot of money. You're going to a new stadium. You have 2 first-round picks. You have the number 2 defense in the National Football League, and maybe you've got something in Shedeur Sanders, right? Like, it is a decent job, in my opinion, where you're coming in and you've got some room to make some immediate impact and make some decisions. Given some of these other locations, and I'm going to spit out at you guys, I think the Browns are relatively high on this list. A lot of the national media is saying that they're low on this list. I think that there is a lot of potential. And if I were, a head coaching candidate, I would look at those things and be intrigued as opposed to some of those other teams. For example, somebody said that the Titans head coaching position is better than the Browns. What do you guys think about that? I don't think so.
Well, no. And to your point, you don't have to fix one side of the ball. All those players are signed to multi-year contracts. One guy, that being Bush, probably gets re-signed with the Browns, and you are set on one side of the ball. You can't say that for any other organization in football, that one side is clearly just set and good. But the Titans, no. I think that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I agree completely. I mean, truthfully, and I know you're going to go through it here, but I kind of have my number in terms of how many of these jobs are even remotely close to being better than the Browns jobs, and it's not a big number. I think saying the Titans job is a better job than Cleveland for all the reasons Dustin said, and I think that's going to be for most of these is the defense. It will hold water against any team with any coach, and I don't think there's many places there aren't any places where you're going to find a better defense from all three levels than in Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Titans position is not more desirable. Sure, you get to live in Nashville. That's cool. You get a new stadium there. But for the reasons that you guys mentioned, I would probably lean Browns in that direction. Dolphins, what do you guys think about that one?
Do you want to go, David, first?
Yeah, David, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Sure.
David.
Yeah. I mean, similar to Tennessee, like you said, it's a desirable location. Certainly, you think about wanting to go play there, but right now that offense is a mess. You're kind of, I don't know what you're going to do. You're going to come in. I don't think there's many coaches who are going to want to keep Tua around just based on everything that's been happening. Wide receiver, you got Tyreek coming off a devastating injury where he probably will not play this upcoming season. Jalen Waddle, has his issues. He's up and down. Okay. Running back room with A-Chain. A-Chain's great, but again, he's kind of hit or miss. He's a big play guy. Certainly a fantasy point producer, but offense certainly probably better weapons currently at the skill positions than what the Browns have, but quarterback is no better. And I think that even though their record is better than the Browns with 2 wins and they have the head-to-head matchup, the defense still stands above everything in my mind. And I think, this one I think is a little bit closer than the Tennessee job, but I still kind of lean towards the Browns here.
I mean, I think this one's probably in the same conversation, right? If not, maybe it is a little bit better in some people's eyes, just a better location. I don't know much about Dolphins ownership to say one way or another, but I mean, they've got some guys. They do. And, they're a young team on some facets of the football, but I guess it depends where you're at. Like if you're John Harbaugh, you've already maybe won a Super Bowl and you just want to go retire in Miami and still be a football coach. Like maybe that's a good job for you. But also if you are maybe Cliff Kingsbury and you're going to get another chance at being a head coach, maybe the Dolphins aren't a good location for you because you can't really afford to fail again. And it's not necessarily a home run location, in my opinion. Dustin, what do you think?
Well, this one's challenging because I think they're a little bit behind the 8 ball with some of these other coaching searches, and that's because they don't have a GM. So you don't have a GM or a head coach in a situation like this. So, is the GM going to be picked first, and then are they going to go after a coach, or is the coach picked first, kind of like the whole thing that happened in Cleveland, and then Andrew Berry? So I don't know. It's going to be – here's the thing about that job, and Adam Schefter brought up something really interesting this afternoon, and he said he knows just from his sources that Harbaugh is going to do his due diligence and go around and take in multiple interviews next week, and he thought it was a huge leap of faith for Miami to fire their head coach and have their GM already gone, thinking that they're going to lure him based on that. Like it was a leap of faith and hope to do something like that. And there's kind of some mystery around that's why the Dolphins moved on from their head coach, hoping they would just slam dunk, get Harbaugh. And he put a kibosh to that really quick and said, no, I know him personally. He's told me he's going to look at multiple opportunities to where he wants to coach. I think it's going to be kind of now, will some teams have an advantage? Sure. But for them to think that's a more attractive position, I do not. To the points of the offenses all over the place. And I just don't think there's a lot of uncertainty in that organization.
I think just to move on here, probably the most desirable location currently for a candidate would be the Ravens, right? I mean, that is probably number one. I mean, it is out of all of these vacancies. You get Lamar. You get. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all you have to say. It's, you're watching.
Not only do you got a good organization. Like the ownership group has done a very good job of stability. And you talk about like alignment, Allie, your favorite word. That organization has been nothing but alignment for a quarter century. Yep. Right? They have 2 Super Bowls since they left the Browns and have been nothing but consistent.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention really, really great usage of draft picks. Either they have a ton or they're always landing on the draft picks too. So they have a really good scouting department, and they've kind of got an infrastructure in place that's ready-made for a winner to come in.
Yep.
Definitely. All right, next up on the list is the New York Football Giants. David, take us away.
Boy, I there's a lot to be desired there. Just kind of looking at, on the offensive side of the ball, they've got weapons. They've got Jackson Dart, who people love, but definitely got injured and is a bit of a cowboy back there. Same with at running back, Cam Scatabo, who is he going to play football again? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. They seem like a hot mess to me right now, and we were actually talking about it in some of the people that they have been interviewing, and I don't even know about the leadership group there, and it just seems like I wouldn't want to go there. I wouldn't want to coach there. I know it's the Big Apple. I know it's got a ton of history, obviously, but I mean, it is. I think the defensive side of the ball, they've definitely got some young players. They've got some great guys on the defensive line. Excuse me, mixed in with some vets too. But so defense is definitely something you can work with there. But I think Browns are a little bit more favorable to me still.
All right. And I think with that, you go into this situation as a potential head coach, and you have to ask yourself, is Jackson Dart my guy? We know that he was Brian Dable's guy, but is he going to be my guy? Is that somebody that I want to put essentially my career on the line for? I don't think that the Giants head coaching position is the most desirable, but I certainly think it's better than some. For the reasons you mentioned, David, I think it's up there. They need somebody that can come in and provide stability. Essentially what Kevin Stefanski did in Cleveland, that's what they need in New York. And I actually think Kevin might be a good fit in New York. I could see that. I could also see him as the Titans head coach, bringing that stability, that professionalism. That's an organization that would really benefit from somebody like that. I think it is desirable, but I don't think it's the most desirable. Dustin, what do you think?
So yeah, this one I think is pretty, for me, on the same level as the Browns. Obviously, you have a quarterback that people believe will come back from his injury and they believe in. But he could have a sophomore slump like a lot of quarterbacks do in the NFL. So it's kind of an unknown with him, kind of a question mark. We don't know what his ceiling is going to be. But there's a lot of pressure that comes with coaching in New York as well. You're under the bright lights, the national media. So to that, I think it's a little less desirable if you're a younger, say, young OC type of coach. So if you bring someone like Stefanski in, I think he can handle it right and would probably be a very attractive job for him. But for me, this doesn't seem like a job that I think a Harbaugh. I mean, I hear that the Giants are all in on Harbaugh, but I don't know if that's a place that Harbaugh would maybe desire. Just because I don't think that fits his DNA. But who knows?
All right, next up on the list is a fairly desirable position. That's Atlanta Falcons. Certainly, they don't have a first-round pick this year. And again, going into this year, you have to ask yourself, am I a Michael Penix Jr. guy? Certainly question marks there, given his injury history. And, when he's on the field, it looks promising, but that, he hasn't been on the field. He's been pretty injury prone. But you've got some young guys. You've got a pretty good defense. You've obviously got Bijan. You've got Drake London. It's a pretty good situation. And, you've got Kirk Cousins. So when Penix is out, you've got Kirk. We'll see what that looks like. But also just taking it a step further and taking a look at the division. You're in the NFC South. Obviously, this year it looked pretty favorable there. It looks like, you can survive. You can go win some games. And, with some stability there with a decent head coach, should be in a position to win that division and make a fairly consistent playoff push. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think the division is very appealing. The division is always up for grabs, and they've got a ton of weapons on offense. The really big concerning factor here is the quarterback position and the lack of a draft pick. Someone's got to come in and really be aggressive in terms of finding the right guy, because Kirk's not it. And frankly, I don't think Penix is either. This is not his third separate ACL injury. I don't know how you're going to keep coming back from that. I mean, he is made of glass, and he was all throughout his career at Indiana before going to Washington. Like, he always was getting injured. And as a head coach, when you're coming in, you see that and you're like, okay, there's a lot we got to start over and come clean with here. Defense is young; they've got some players there too. So I agree with you. It's kind of like top 3, top 4 most desirable, I think, out of these 8. So it's in the upper half. But the quarterback position and the lack of draft pick really is concerning to me.
So for me with the Falcons, I think this is a desirable job, but I think this is one where maybe a younger up-and-coming OC or DC type of candidate will probably land there. I don't think they're going to go for a seasoned coach in Atlanta. Now, obviously, I believe Stefanski's interviewing for that job, as well as the other ones. But I think this one is desirable in a lot of ways, but a lot of question marks still remain. Now, from a division standpoint, 100%, 9 or 10 wins a year, you could very well easily win this division just because of where these teams kind of fall. So if you're a younger coach and you want to succeed there, I think it's very desirable. That's why I thought when Kellen Moore went to New Orleans, that was very advantageous for him being a new head coach and not being a head coach in the past before. So, yeah, I think it's desirable, but probably to a younger kind of guy.
Yeah. All right. And we'll go kind of quickly here on these last 2, Cardinals and Raiders. Let's start with the Cardinals, David. Obviously, not a great situation there either. Look, none of these are great situations. If they have fired their coach outside of the Ravens, I think if you fired your head coach, there are question marks. We know that. Let's talk about the Cardinals. David, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Cardinal, it's tough. Their offense is a mess. They have a decent line, but we know there's just weird things going on with Kyler since the day he got there. Running backs have been plagued by injuries. Wide receivers can't keep it together. I mean, they obviously had the great pick with Marv, but he just hasn't been the Marv that he was in college. And so there's a lot of reworking that has to be done. It's going to be a couple of years to kind of rebuild that, I think, and it's tough. That one's a little bit more bleak and dreary to me, truthfully.
Yeah. Dustin, what do you think?
Yeah, for me on this one, this is probably the least desirable job out of all of them. And for a couple of reasons. A, there's a lot of, you're probably going into it with a rebuild. This is probably going to be a younger guy that has to come in and you're going to have to give him a few years. And you're also in a very tough division. It's like you're in a bad division trying to get a win or a wild card spot. So this is probably a 2 or 3 year rebuild for these guys to get back up to the level of play they believe they can get to. You don't know what you're doing at quarterback. There's a lot of question marks here. So this is probably the least desirable job in the National Football League.
Yeah. All right. What about the Raiders? David, what do you think about the Raiders?
So I like this. I think I would be interested in this as a head coach. I'd be interested in this position. You have the number 1 overall pick, so you can get your guy at quarterback, and minority order Tom Brady is kind of lurking in the shadows there. And I mean, obviously he hasn't really proven himself out to be any kind of like leadership role right now, but I mean, the best to ever do it at the quarterback position. And so if you want somebody kind of, on your side, kind of standing next to you or in your back pocket, I think that's really awesome. They've got some good weapons on offense that they can lean into. And it's a pretty good place to coach. I mean, a very historic team. I think it's desirable for players to want to go there. So again, there's a lot of work that needs to be done there too. But honestly, I think it's kind of right in the middle of the pack in terms of desirability, with the number 1 overall pick and Tom Brady helping call the shots.
I agree. I like this because you've got Ashton Genty, you've got we'll see what happens with Max Crosby, of course. That's kind of a unique situation there, but you get to draft your guy. And that is very desirable for a lot of people. And you're in Vegas. It's not a bad place to be. You're in the desert. I don't think this is terrible. I really don't. Dustin, what do you think?
So this one's interesting to me because I don't think it's the most desirable job or the least desirable, but I put it down closer to the least, and I'll give you a couple of reasons. To all the reasons that you have the number 1 pick, a lot of pressure comes with that. If you do take the number 1 overall pick and you pick a quarterback and that quarterback fans out, that sets your franchise back for several years. Second, I don't see stability there. I think this owner is quick to make just a knee-jerk move, kind of like the Browns did of the old. And every 2 years, if we don't get it right, you kick out a coach. So from a coaching standpoint, I would want, if I go and take this job, from some guarantees and some stability, like, hey, you need to sign me to a 3 or 4 year or 5 year contract. And if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. Because I do think of the last several years, there's been some instability with them pulling the trigger quick on a coach and getting fired.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. I want to tell you real quick about our friends over at City Barbecue, guys. If you're wondering what you should have for lunch or dinner, maybe you need an event catered, call our friends over at City Barbecue. They have award-winning sauces, sides, meats. They do it right. They're very friendly. They're easy to work with. Really recommend using them. And also, if you maybe need to get some official Here We Go Brownies podcast hat, t-shirt, sweatshirt, you can find it at We Bleed Ohio Apparel. Of course, you can get your football, basketball, baseball designs there as well. They do it right. They'll hook you up over at We Bleed Ohio. So I'd like to run through a couple of names. And when I say a couple of names, I have a whole list of names here.
Copious amount of notes.
Yes, copious names here. I want to just run through these. And I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. Like I've said several times, we will get into these guys. We will talk about their offensive or defensive philosophy, the fit, all of that. I just want to go through and kind of go around the room. Yes or no, could you be interested in this person? Not ranking them or anything, just does it kind of pique your interest a little bit to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns? And let's start, David, I'll start with you. Robert Saleh.
Yes, absolutely. I would be interested in this. And he comes in already with a great defense set up. And I think he kind of learned from his prior experience as a head coach. And I think second time around, I think he might find more success. I would be interested.
I'd be interested. I think he brings that stability, defensive guy. I like the fire that he brings. I'd be interested. Dustin.
Yeah, my only concern is great guy, high character guy, alpha guy, things we look for in the Cleveland Browns of the future. My only worry is if he comes in, do we lose a guy like Schwartz?
Well, that's going to happen. If they don't keep Schwartz the head coach, more likely than not, that is going to be the case. So maybe.
Yeah. So I like him, but he's not in my top 4. We'll say he's not in my top 4. So I'm in there. Yeah.
Yes or no? All right, Brian Flores. Dustin, we'll start with you on this one.
No, I'm not in on this one. He's a good coach, but not this year, not for this team. I do think, and we'll get into this, but I think the Browns need a seasoned head coach to come in here.
David.
I agree.
What'd you say?
I said no thanks.
No thanks. No thanks on Flores. No,
I don't think so.
I'm interested. I'm in on. I think he gets another shot at being a head coach, and frankly, I can see him as the Ravens head coach. I can see it. I like the thing with him is he's pretty tight with Deshaun Watson. That scares me a little bit. Don't love that, but I think he's a decent leader. You could talk me into it. Not my number one beat. Like you could talk me into this. Let's go with. Let me cross that off. Todd Monken. David.
Yes. Yeah, I like it. Familiar with the program. Amazing offensive mind. I think can maybe make some headway in terms of getting this offense back up and running.
Mm-hmm. That's what you think.
Same. I think he's a guy that's really got some offensive creativity, and that is really where this part of the team is lacking glaringly. It would be nice to have an offensive mind in-house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. He's already here. He was here in 2019. Obviously, that was kind of a disaster, right? With Freddie Kitchens, that was nasty. Kind of rebuilt his career with the Bulldogs, then with the Ravens. So, I mean, it's interesting. What about Cliff Kingsbury, David?
Similarly, I think so. I mean, he's got some pedigree. He's been around for a while, so he's got good experience and connections. It's been up and down, but again, another maybe just inject some offensive creativity and come with a little bit different, mindset. I would be interested.
I would not be. I'm kind of out on Cliff. I think he's going to get another shot, but I think I wouldn't like it in Cleveland. There's some uncertainty there. I'm not in. Dustin, what do you think?
So I had a really weird, unique situation. I met Cliff Kingsbury prior to him taking the head coaching job at Arizona, and he was at a spring baseball game with the Guardians, or the Guardians down for their spring ball. And I just went up and introduced myself, and I said congratulations to him. and his body language and the way he presented himself, I'm like, I was not expecting that kind of ego aura to come from him. And I was like, man, like you should be like excited to have your first head coaching job. It was just a very weird, awkward encounter. And I was like, I don't know. I've always had just a weird thing about him since then. And then he got, of course, fired from the Cardinals later. So I'm out.
Okay. All right, let's start with this next one. Jesse Minner. David, I'll start with you on this one. Obviously, comes from Michigan, currently Chargers, defensive coordinator, defensive guy. What do you think about Jesse?
Success follows him. He definitely brings an edge to a defense and to a program kind of wherever he's gone so far. He's young, but he's got good experience, and he's learned behind one of the better, or at least more tenured coaches in both the NFL and college football with Jim Harbaugh. So I would be interested. I think, like we talked about, unless you retain Schwartz as the head coach, he's likely not going to be here next season. So bringing in someone like Jesse Minter, I think you won't see much of, if any, of a step back with this defense next season if he were the head coach.
Dustin.
Yeah, I like him. He's young. Also, like you said, he's been successful everywhere he's been, David. And if I had to give up on Schwartz and he was the head coach to keep those guys motivated and excited, yeah, sign me up if they go in a defensive direction at head coach.
I think he's going to be a good coach one day. I do. I don't know if that's now. I don't know if maybe it's a little too premature, but I do think one day he will be a good coach. I'd be in on it. I think, that's kind of somebody that you need in Cleveland, somebody that's going to light a little bit of a fire, that can embrace, the city. And some of these other guys just kind of don't fit what Cleveland. Be intrigued. We'll go rapid fire here. Just a couple of more. David, I'll start with you. Jim Schwartz.
Yes, I think so. I have some hesitations, but overall, positively, yes, I think so.
Dustin.
Yeah, I like this hire. Again, because he does have head coaching experience with Detroit. He can come in, be a leader of men, kind of be that alpha guy, and maybe you can keep Tommy Reese here, so your offense can continue to grow, and then probably promote the linebackers coach, defensive coordinator for from the Cleveland Browns because of his success at linebacker.
Look, I love Jim Schwartz. I think he's a great coach. I love what he's done for this defense. I'd be very interested in seeing him as a head coach. This right here actually is quite intriguing. Schwartz and get Steve Spagnuolo. That's sign me up. I would love that. My hesitation is, however, sometimes change is a good thing, and we can really appreciate and love what we have. But for the betterment of this team, maybe it's okay to go in a different direction. And I'm not saying that you move off of Jim Schwartz if he is the head coach, but keeping Tommy Reese is also well, why wouldn't we have just kept Kevin then if we're going to keep all things the same? So that's kind of the one thing. And then we'll wrap it up with this one. Mike McDaniel. Dustin.
No. Do not do. I don't know what went from him to his luck in 2020. Sign me up if you bring somebody else in and he can be our offensive coordinator. Sure, sign me up for that, but not as a head coach.
No. David.
Nope.
No,
not interested.
Not interested. Same thing. Coordinator or head coach? No, I don't like the fit in Cleveland. So, yeah, I agree. I would rather have Mike McCarthy just as a culture in Cleveland. And I don't even want McCarthy, but I would take him over that. So there you go. We'll have more names to come, of course, as this search continues. Just wanted to have a little bit of fun with it there real quick. What else do we have? Anybody that I missed there? Real quick before we do so, Dustin, why don't you tell our listeners about Primetime?
That's right, guys. Primetime, check them out. Lots of great signings. Boy, the list goes on and on, but you asked for it, and that's right. On January 20th, Fannin Jr. will be doing an autograph signing at the Belden Village in Canton. So check that out. Fannin Jr., for all those that have been waiting for him, are excited for that tight end wide receiver signing. That'll be January 20th. But they have a lot of other guys coming in. They have Ricky Williams, lots of guys. So be on the lookout this month. They're bringing a lot of All-Stars and Hall of Famers in.
There you go. And if you are looking to buy or sell a home, maybe get into investing or even renting, Crystal John Tony Real Estate over at eXp Realty. She can help you out. JohnTonySells@gmail.com, 216-215-6663. She's the best in the business. She can help answer your questions, point you in the right direction. and just get you a new house. We're gonna go kind of quickly on this one, just because we don't have a ton of time. And if we can get to the NFL superlatives, we will. But I really just want to stick with the Browns for the sake of time. So I want to go through. We're going to do MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, all of those for the Cleveland Browns for the 2025 season. Let's start with MVP of this team. David, who would you take?
Mr. Malgert.
Yeah. Point blank, right? Like point blank,
Easy.
period.
Yep.
He's the MVP of the team. Dustin, any direction on this one?
Yeah, can you make him the head coach? Can he be everything? That would be great. Yeah, Myles Garrett, a man among men. I got to tell you, like MVP wise, we'll get into it another time. But if he goes on this trajectory of the next several years, he can be the top 5 sack leader of all time. Like this is pretty crazy what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. MVP of this team, it's Myles Garrett. That's kind of a no-brainer. That's the way I'd go too. Let's go with kind of funny to take it in this direction, but Defensive Player of the Year. David, what would you do?
I think you double down, and it's Myles Garrett again. Give him to him. I mean, the man has won his awards.
Yeah,
earned
right.
his awards.
He has. I mean, he is the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, there are certainly, this was a great defense this year, guys. And there were so many great players, and some of them are going to get recognition. So if we didn't say the name yet, please don't panic. I'm sure we'll get to them. But a lot of great players, and the defense just gelled. And I think a lot of that stems from the play from Myles Garrett. He was such a leader out there this year. I'll take Defense Player of the Year, Myles. Dustin, same thing?
Yeah, I mean, what he did on defense and when he was one-on-one with players and what he did versus double and triple teams, Myles Garrett.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. David, what would you do for Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Offensive Rookie of the Year, there's not a ton, obviously, but I think for what he did, what he accomplished at his position, I think it's Harold Fannin Jr. Awesome, stepped up into a big role, especially with Njoku kind of having a down season. And came close to 1,000 yards receiving, and going through 4 different quarterbacks, and still getting 6 touchdowns and over 700 yards. I think he definitely has earned that award.
I'm going the same way with this, and we're probably all going to have a lot of the same answers, guys. This isn't a fun segment, but just to give credit where it's due. I mean, he was incredible. Such a bright spot for this team offensively. I'm going with Harold as well for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Dustin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I have to go that same direction. Also breaking the most receptions by a rookie for a Cleveland Brown says a lot too when you think the Browns have been around a long time. So him. But, I'm going to give my flowers to also Quinshon Judkins before that injury with a terrible, crappy offensive line. He was still 2nd or 3rd in the league for rookies for rushing. So I still think, he's a 1A, 1B type of thing there.
Mm-hmm. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I don't think this is a huge question. We're probably all going to have the same answer. It's Carson, right, guys?
Yeah, Schlesinger, baby. Let's go.
It's Carson.
It is. We don't even have to elaborate. He was spot on this defense to come in as a rookie and be the play caller on defense, green dot guy. Man, what a gem, and what a great draft pick by Andrew Berry. Really excited for his career. This is a tough one. Offensive Player of the Year, and apologies that I didn't do this one at the start, but Offensive Player of the Year, not just Offensive Rookie. Really difficult to kind of pinpoint outside of Harold Fannin, and maybe we just give him both awards, but really tough year for this offense. Dustin, what direction would you go here?
So I think I would go Quinshon here, because without Quinshon, I don't know if we win 4 games. I mean, Quinshon was a good player this year. And if you could see at times when he would get past that first level of defense, that burst, that speed, those big, long runs, for that, I like that. And I think there's a great, bright future for him.
David, what do you think?
Yeah, I was kind of back and forth on this too, and we gave Miles two awards. So I mean, it's easy to say to give Harold the same ones, but I was leaning more Quinchon in this one too, just because he was a staple. He became a bell cow, if you will, when he was healthy after serving a suspension, and so or not serving a suspension, not getting signed right away. And so there's definitely some question in the future still if there's going to be anything coming down, but and injury recovery. But I think Quinchon, was earning of some accolades here as well.
Mhm. I am going to give it also to Harold. I know that doesn't make exactly for the best podcasting. Unfortunately, this Browns offense was just anemic, and there's really not a lot of bright spots. I want to highlight this as well. I mean, Joel Bitonio, in obviously a bit of a down year, right? We're nearing the end of his career, most likely.
By the way, if you want a moment where you almost cry, go watch Joel Patonio's press conference, end of year press conference. Like when asked if he gave it all he could, he lost it at the podium. So you want to talk about a guy who's done it all? That's Joel Patonio.
Right. My point was, he was out there for an offensive line that was utterly depleted all season, and you had so many different moving pieces and parts. He was the consistent, so that's an interesting way of taking it. I think this one might be a fairly easy one too. Is coach of the year? I'm going to go with Jim Schwartz. Just is right. Like, this defense was incredible. I'm going to go with Jim Schwartz. Dustin, what do you think?
I'm going with the special teams coach. Just kidding. Gonna go with Schwartz. Yeah, give it to Schwartz.
Yeah, David.
I'll go a different direction. I'll go with Jason Tarver, linebackers coach. Linebackers played an outstanding season. I mean, across the board. Obviously, we know Carson stepped up big, but I mean, you had guys that kind of revived their career a little bit, and just really stepped up big in the end of the season too. Even in week 18, there in the final game, and I think top to bottom, that room probably was the most sound and productive on the defense side of the ball. So obviously, Jim Schwartz kind of is responsible for all of that, but just to mix it up, I'll go with Jason Tarver.
I think that's a great pick. He elevates, every group that he touches. Grateful to have him as part of this coaching staff. And last but not least, I don't want to do protector of the year. This offensive line was tough. I don't want to get into that. But comeback player of the year, Dustin, which direction would you go here?
Comeback player of the year. Wow. I'm stumped. I'm trying to think who we would give that to for.
Well, let's let David go first then, and I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So this just kind of came to me from, I don't know if this totally fits, but knowing and we know he's one of the better cornerbacks in the league, but riddled with injuries, lots of concussions, and the point that was brought up earlier this show, not having any concussions this season, I don't think going to throw it out to Denzel. I think he found a way to keep his head healthy and avoid the more serious injury, because I tell you what, he has one more, I'm worried he's never playing again. So to be able to kind of play a full season, I think he played 15 games and not have a concussion, I'm going to give him the award.
Actually, I had Alex Wright written down here just because he did battle through some injuries, and he's been incredible opposite Miles, but I am actually going to go with Denzel Ward here. With that comment earlier, I think it was from James that mentioned, did Denzel have any concussions? And I was like, you know what? Damn, like that. What a way to kind of turn the corner and play a fairly healthy season and play very good. Here's another one that we can highlight. Oops, if I can't. Campbell here, obviously, acquisition of him, he was great, but wasn't with the team last year. Dustin, anything you got there?
I like where you were going, Allie, with Alex Wright, because the type of season he's had absolutely led to Myles Garrett being able to get the sack record. And I think that speaks a lot to Alex's game and the pressure and what he brought to the defensive line. So, yeah, I'd give it to Alex, to be honest. Yeah. That's a good pick, actually.
All right. We don't have enough time to get through the entire NFL. We can do that next week. So save your all of your selections. We'll do that next week.
Is it pick time? Is it pick time?
It is pick time. David, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you. Go Browns.
Thank you.
Go Browns.
All right. Dustin, it is time to make some selections.
And I think I won last week, I think.
You did win last week. So you got me. I am still up 7-4-2 on the season.
Ooh, I love it.
Got some ground to make up, but let's kick it off. Rams at Panthers.
Rams.
I agree. Packers at Bears. This is interesting.
I'm going to go Packers in this one.
Okay. Geez. Listen, the Packers were my, like, I don't remember if they were my preseason or very early in the season Super Bowl favorite. They have just collapsed. And listen, I think do you think it's possible that if they get bounced in the first round here of the wild card, do they consider moving off of LaFleur? That's interesting.
Then we have 9 head coach. Well, I mean, you could say the same about Tomlin. Do we have 10 head coaching vacancies then? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bears. I'm gonna go with the Bears here. Let me write this down. Packers. Next up on the list, Bills at Jags.
I'm going to go Bills here. I think the Bills, even though they're on the road, they're going to put it together. Close game, though. This will probably be one of the better games.
Man, the Jags have been insane. Trevor has been playing really good football. Liam Cohn's probably in the conversation for Coach of the Year for what he's done. I'm really inclined to go with the Jags here. The Bills have had a tough year, Dustin, where they weren't the team that we thought that they were going to be coming into this season. Right. I might do it. I'm gonna go with the Jags for now. We'll see how that resonates as we continue through this exercise. But for now, I'm gonna go with the Jags. Niners at Eagles.
Eagles.
Man, I think so. Oh, man, I don't know. This is so difficult. I'll agree with you. Let's go Eagles. Chargers at Patriots.
Well, sorry, read the what was it?
Chargers at Patriots.
Oh, Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Patriots here as well. And then Texans at Steelers.
I think it's going to happen. I don't want it to happen, but I think the Texans are going to come in there and whoop their ass. They're going to go in and put a beat down on the Steelers.
Geez. This is
Just
interesting.
I think the Texans are hot right now. So
yeah, I'm going to go with the Texans. I mean, it was a very emotional win. Came down to the wire. Steelers versus Ravens. I'm going to say they have a little bit of a hangover here, and I'm going to go with the Texans. I'm considering. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm considering flipping here if I want Niners or Eagles. I know I took the Eagles, but man, there's something telling me take the Niners. But I'll stay put. For the time being.
Because now I'm looking. We're 7-4-2, and like if I get some luck here, we can finish the season 500 if I pull this off.
Yeah. All right, Dustin. Any closing thoughts here as we wrap up?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of information to talk about on next week's big show. Look for a lot of information to come out. We'll post anything that we get news of, but yeah, obviously a lot of coaching. We'll have a lot more on next week's show of the coaches that have been interviewed and the ones, and we'll get into that. And where Harbaugh and all these other guys are going. So yeah, here we go.
We'll see. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be kind of fun, kind of weird. So buckle up. We'll keep you posted. Join us next week. Next Wednesday, we'll be live 7 p.m. Eastern, as always. But thank you, everybody, for joining. We appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy. And as always, Browns fans, go Browns.
Go Browns.
H-E-R-O-S-O